So motion 2, I'd like to call Tom James, who is proposing the motion from Scotland JDC.
Hello everyone. So what do aspiring radiologists, ophthalmologists, obstetricians, gynecologists, sexual health consultants, neurosurgeons, anaesthetists and psychiatrists all have in common? Well, you'd think so, but actually they've all spent hours poring over paediatric skin rashes in order to pass the MRSA. They have spent hours studying GMC guidance, dictating how to talk to colleagues, how and if to take breaks at work, and when they should sacrifice their personal lives. And to what aim? To pass the MSRA. Initially introduced in 2011 as a cheap way to assess the growing number of GP applicants via clinical and situational judgment tests, the difficulties of interviewing candidates during COVID-19 led some specialties to use this exam as their sole assessment tool, or to allow high performers in the exam to bypass interview, regardless of their CV or portfolio. This is unacceptable for many reasons. The primary one must be that the exam prevents identification of talent. With a minimum MRSA score acting as a cut-off for many training schemes, a candidate could have literally won a Nobel Prize in their field and still be unable to get an interview. Should an anaesthetist with an impressive portfolio and a CV be rejected if they fail to recognise Kawasaki disease in a one-line question stem? What about an aspiring surgeon who has spent the last 6 or more years building a surgical CV, only to be told with months' notice that there was another considerable hoop they needed to jump through, with little to no relevance to surgical training? It is immensely frustrating. One might be led to the conclusion, if this is so pervasive, this exam, then there must be a comprehensive evidence base supporting its use. Obviously there isn't, at least one that's publicly available. Unless you count a vague assortment of literature purporting the usefulness of the Foundation Programme, SJT, alongside a 450-page pilot review which reached ambivalent conclusions regarding reliability and opaque scoring methodology and cost effectiveness, which is worse than it initially seems. 2 things, however, are for certain. Firstly, the Work Psychology Group, an international firm of occupational psychologists who produce the test, are making profit from this. Secondly, it has provided relevant educational bodies with an alternative to more rigorous identification of appropriate candidates. To close, let us reflect on the Work Psychology Group's objectives, and I quote, "Due to the high-stakes nature of healthcare selection, assessment methods need to be robust, reliable, valid, fair, transparent, and practically feasible. At best, a 1 out of 6, and whilst it may be better than the nepotism of old, there must be better ways of recruitment than this examination." Thanks.
Could I have Will Sepwell from Yorkshire to speak, please? He's got a motion in the bracket.
Chair, conference, let's be honest. The use of the MRSA by non-GP specialty application processes is all about the convenience to our bosses, rather than the helpful means to help them find the best candidates for the jobs. The level of disrespect shown to trainees applying is galling, especially by the fact that it's partly run by Pearson VUE of forcing final year medical students to urinate where they sat gate fame. Can I get a shame-en for that? Here we go. If I put my nerd hat on, I'm not convinced by the quality assurance of the Work Psychology Group, as my colleague just mentioned, given that they also run the SJT, and that's getting scrapped. Then there's the fact that we know that these high-stakes, one-chance assessments are an equality and diversity nightmare, with equally capable candidates from diverse backgrounds suffering from differential attainment. That's politically correct word for racism. The Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health dropping the MRSA, they're dropping it because of this, and also they're just not finding it very useful in differentiating who's going to make a good children's doctor or not. So how it's useful in surgery is absolutely beyond me, which brings me back to my opening point. This assessment is utilised entirely for the benefit of the bosses. The mental wellness of trainees be damned, so please vote for this motion.
Thank you. I do have 2 further speakers for the motion, no one speaking against. So in the interest of time, we're just going to go straight to a vote, and we're going to vote on this as a whole. So everyone get your keypads out, get ready to vote online. Remember, it's press anything to wake up your keypad, then 1 for, 2 against, or 3 abstain, and hit OK to submit it as well. Once it says received, you know that it's gone through. So voting's open. Could I ask anyone that had objections to the A motions to make yourselves known to the agenda committee, either by emailing in on the chat, or if you come down to the pit and just have a chat with us, and then we can make sure that those ones are removed if they need to be before we rerun the vote. Thanks. Have we got the results of the vote? Overwhelmingly passed.